Hello and welcome to this episode of Kennedy Saves the World. So, like many of you, I have a fall race coming up this Sunday in Augusta, Georgia. It will be my 12th half Ironman, and I don't think I've ever done a race where I have trained as little as I have. I've just missed so many workouts over the last 4 or 5 months. And it's because of traveling, dropping kids off at college, working, filling in for people who've had babies, writing for the Daily Mail. Just life can be busy and exhausting. And because I've been doing triathlon for 30 years now, before when I was trying to have fast times and, was really challenging myself, it was so important that I complete every single workout that my coach had prescribed. And if I didn't, I would beat myself up and I would feel bad about it at the end of the week. And I'm in a place right now where I don't want to feel bad. I want to feel great and satisfied and fulfilled and give myself credit, even though this is a time in my life where I don't have the hours and hours to train that I have in the past. But also, I don't necessarily have the same motivation to be fast. I still love doing triathlon. I still love the half Ironman distance. And the last race that I did in December, I didn't look at my watch at all because I wanted to try racing one time, not for time. And it turned out to be the funnest, most pleasurable experience that I had had racing because it was really, really fun. I mean, believe me, there is nothing like crossing the finish line faster than you thought you were going to. That's an amazing feeling. That is not going to happen this weekend. I could have a faster time than I think right now, but I also could have a really slow time that 5 years ago, 10 years ago, I would have been heartbroken. I would have felt like a failure. And I would have questioned, why am I doing this at all? Which, if you're doing endurance sports, you question yourself all the time anyways. I remember that I have run one marathon in my life. Maybe I will run another one again. I don't have any desire to right now. There's no race that pops up and I go, ooh, I want to run 20 miles in one weekend. And the weekend before that, I want to do 19. And the weekend before that, 18. I really don't like running more than 10 miles at a time. So that's why the half Ironman distance is perfect. It is a 1.2 mile swim, a 56 mile bike, and a 13.1 mile run. Now, with every race, the thing that determines how well you do are the variables. The variables for me are how well have I slept the 4 or 5 nights before the race. This week, it's been pretty well. I think the least amount of sleep I've had was 7 hours. And that was on Monday night before I came back from London. And since then, I've slept 8 hours a night, 8.5, and I'm feeling good. But that doesn't mean I'm going to feel good on race morning because I've woken up on race morning and felt awful and disconnected and like someone woke me up in the middle of the night and I was in complete shock and it affected how I felt during the race. Didn't necessarily affect the time, but it affected how I felt. So that's the biggest variable is when I wake up in the morning, how do I feel? And sometimes I have raced before where I have gotten to the starting line of the swim and I've looked at the water and I've thought to myself, I do not want to swim today. Sometimes it's because it's an ocean swim and the waves are big. Other times, I've raced in Palm Springs 3 times at La Quinta, Indian Wells, which has the coldest swim I've ever done. And, it's like you're looking at 55-degree water at 7 in the morning and you're like, don't want to swim in that. Not even a little. But you have to. And if I start slow on the swim, it's really hard for me to pick up the motivation for the rest of the race. But because I've been racing for so long, I just have tricks. And that's all I'm going to rely on because did I do a 3-hour bike ride every single weekend? I did not. I think the longest ride I've done was 2.5 hours. Did I run for 2 hours at a time when I was supposed to? Not really. I did a run last week that was 90 minutes. And a couple weeks before that, I ran for an hour and 45 minutes. And that's about as good as I got. but I do know the tricks to getting through these things. And for me, it is all about counting. When I am going through a particularly hard part of the race, and this race in Augusta, Georgia, Augusta 70.3, the swim is supposedly fast because you're swimming in a body of water that has a current and you're swimming with the current, not against it. So it gives you an extra push. So that should be fine. The bike has 4 gigantic hills. So I have been riding hills over the last 2 months, not well. And how do I get through the hills? The same way I get through the swim. When I'm bored on the swim, I just start counting and I'm like, okay, just count to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I count to 10. Sometimes I count to 5. Sometimes I sing Beastie Boys songs in my head to try and do anything to keep myself from slowing down. Because there always comes a point in a race where you're like, God, it would be so much fun if I were just going slower. And you don't want to do that in a race. You can do that when you're practicing, but you should, obviously practice like you're racing, because my swim coach, Kyle, always says, perfect practice makes perfect. It's not practice makes perfect, because you could practice like a sack of crap, and that's probably how you will perform.
Don't go anywhere. More Kennedy Saves the World right after this.
So for me, it's all about the counting. And on the hills, on the bike, I do 10 pedal strokes sitting down, and I try and do just 5 standing up. And then I'll go back and forth between that. And hopefully that carries me through to the top. And then I will try and go really fast on the downhills and not be on the bike for 4 hours. That is my goal. I don't want to be on there for too long. The run supposedly is flat. Now, the variables on the, and here's what I love about the bike. And this is what I tell myself. On the bike is where you can eat snacks. My coach always tells me, I don't want you eating. I want you taking gels and, drinking a solid bottle of electrolyte and calories. So, she wants me to get something like 700 calories on the bike, which is great. And, I aim to do that, but I always have some sort of actual food item on the bike. I used to make myself a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, but I was told that the blood fills up your stomach when you eat solid food, and it takes it away from your legs, and you're working twice as hard. But I will have Bonk Breaker is going out of business, and they make PB&J protein bars. So I will have a PB&J bar, and I will look forward to it, and I will luxuriate in it while I'm counting. I will not eat going uphill because I will need all of my energy to breathe. I will have Goo Roctane in one bottle and probably a Noon tablet and water in the other bottle. And then I will switch and get a water bottle. And the counting truly gets you through. Because if you say to yourself, I only have to run for 3 more light poles, you can do that. So it really is just tricking your mind into believing that you only have a short distance to go. And so you either count pedal strokes or steps or landmarks or go from one sign to the next. And I remember reading a quote from a famous female triathlete pro, and she was like, sometimes I'm so tired at the end of the race that I feel like I can't go anymore and I want to give up, and I tell myself, just run to the next street sign. And sometimes I have to do that for 10 miles at a time. I hope I don't have to do that, but the trick that I tell people to do on the run, which is what one of my coaches at Team in Training taught me when we were raising money for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, was you are only running 1 mile. It doesn't matter if it's a half marathon, a marathon, a 10K, a 5K. You are only running 1 mile. And your brain knows that anyone can run a mile. So all you say to yourself is, I am only running 1 mile. Are you going to do it at a sprint? You are not, if you're smart. So you run 1 mile, and then once you get to the next mile, you go, I am only running 1 mile. I am only running between mile 2 and mile 3. And maybe I've told you that before. Does it make me a faster runner? It does not. Historically in races, I do not run fast at all. But I'm hoping, and this will be my secret weapon, I will watch videos of Sydney McLaughlin, and I will watch her running because I think she's the most phenomenal runner ever, and I love the way she runs. And I will try and channel her form, because if I don't have speed, if I don't have volume, I can always have good form. And if I can replicate what someone else is doing, maybe somehow good form will translate to a slightly faster time. But shockingly, I don't need a fast time in order to have a great race. I just want to race with a smile on my face. I want to push my body. I want to see if I am capable of finding another gear that my volume has not given me. And if I can do that and somehow psychologically overcome difficult moments, I think that is the point of doing difficult things and doing things that challenge you. I think that is the part of your life where you find improvement, is when you have moments where you want to give up, you feel like you cannot go another step, your body is mad at you, your legs are screaming, your lungs and your entire organ system feels completely depleted. If you can keep going and overcome that and either get into a meditative state or get into a very basic rhythm, then that in and of itself has tremendous benefit. Having people on the side who are cheering makes all the difference in the world. If you were a spectator at any race and you think that someone doesn't hear you because they look exhausted and they look like a zombie in pain, they still hear you. And it may be your little bit of encouragement that keeps them going to the next street sign and then hopefully to the finish line. Because that is one of the best things about racing, is taking the energy and the good wishes. And there's always humorous signs at Ironman races for whatever reason. The people, like the authors of those signs, deserve a Pulitzer Prize, because they really, it's like, hit this button if you want to poop your pants. And then you go and, it's like free high fives. They're always amusing, but that emotional energy can absolutely get you through. So that's all I want to do. I want to find another gear, and I want to see if I can complete a decent and not horrible race with half the training that I should have at this point. Whatever. I'll do it with a smile. I will take you with me. This has been Kennedy Saves the World. I'll see you at the finish line. I'm Kennedy.
Listen ad-free with a Fox News Podcast Plus subscription on Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Prime members can listen to this show ad-free on the Amazon Music app. Oh, go ahead and leave me a review while you're there. I'd love to hear what you have to say. You've been listening to Kennedy Saves the World on the Fox News Podcast Network.